You see a top performer sighing at their desk. They are staring blankly at a screen, looking entirely disconnected from the environment around them. Managers instinctively diagnose this behavior as burnout. We assume frantic emails, long hours, and an impossible volume of tasks have drained their internal battery. So we offer the standard prescription. We suggest a lighter workload, approve a long vacation, or assure them the department will run perfectly fine without them for a few days. But this well-intentioned intervention usually fails. The employee returns just as miserable as they left, or they unexpectedly hand in their resignation shortly after. The treatment fails because managers are prescribing a cure for a disease the employee doesn't actually have. High-performing municipal teams are currently being hollowed out by a silent, insidious condition called bore-out. Burnout is loud, a visible state of physical and mental exhaustion. Bore-out is the invisible erosion of the spirit, caused by a lack of meaningful work rather than a lack of tasks. The underlying energy sources for these two conditions are completely different. An overwhelmed employee is running on adrenaline. An underutilized employee is running on anxiety. Consider the immense energy it takes to pretend. They sit at their desks, terrified someone will notice their lack of purpose. So they stretch a 30-minute report into a 4-hour project, taking on a massive cognitive load just to maintain a facade of performative busyness. This chart compares the cardiovascular mortality rates of standard civil servants against those reporting high levels of chronic boredom in a University College London study of 7,000 workers. High boredom levels show a direct correlation with increased cardiovascular disease. This stress acts as a physical toxin. It signals to the brain that the individual is trapped in a stagnant environment where growth is impossible and their skills are actively evaporating. Municipal government is highly susceptible to this. Layers of bureaucracy, outdated legacy systems, and strict procedures systematically strip autonomy from staff. Even modernization efforts can trigger a crisis of meaning, as seen in a recent case study from a municipal library. Leadership decided to automate menial tasks, like checking books in and out. Their intent was to free up staff time so the team could focus on improving the quality of the library's programming. The outcome was disastrous. Beloved top performers began reporting high anxiety and raising complaints about inequity. They were misdirecting their own guilt over not having enough clear, meaningful work, assuming their peers were being asked to work much harder. Checking a book in was a directly understandable metric of success. It cleared a record and helped the next patron. By removing that task without explicitly connecting their new free time to a measurable impact, leadership left their best professionals adrift. Managers must learn to spot these subtle signs before the employee leaves. If a high performer is quiet and compliant, do not assume they have found a healthy balance. They may be experiencing a crisis of growth, having mastered their role while seeing no path forward. Look for the behavioral shift. They stop disagreeing in meetings. They stop offering new ideas. They transition into being reliably present, but entirely mentally absent. Once they fall into this rut, they actively reject future growth opportunities. They begin operating under the cynical belief that any new assignment is just going to be more meaningless busywork from leadership they no longer trust. Because burnout and bore-out are opposing diagnoses, the treatments for them are diametrically opposed. Giving a bored-out employee a vacation is actually toxic. Demonstrating that the organization runs perfectly fine without them only reinforces their deep-seated fear that they are unneeded. The cure for bore-out is impact. These individuals are starving for a challenge. They require a stronger connection to the why behind their work. Bored-out employees resign specifically to find an organization where their presence creates a tangible impact. Leadership must conduct an audit of their purpose. Are you inviting your team to the high-pressure decision-making table, or are you hoarding responsibility and keeping them stuck doing administrative maintenance? This matrix plots responsibility against accountability. Meaningful work requires a perfect balance of the two. Assigning accountability without responsibility turns an employee into a bored cog whose success is independent of action. Conversely, giving responsibility without accountability signals their decisions aren't important enough to matter. To keep top municipal talent, you must give them a problem to solve, a community to serve, and the permission to fail. A lack of meaning is the only threat they cannot survive.